Hey guys, so it is Danny, the multiple streams queen. Since I'm going to be stuck in the house for a little while, recovering, I thought I'd make a video and kind of tell you guys a little bit about my story, where the name multiple streams queen came from, and what it means. So on my channel, I normally talk about all things Airbnb or short-term rental, but I got a story in there, right, that I want to share. I was able this year to retire from the bedside, from nursing, because of the short-term rental business. And so on my channel, I share different tips and tricks about the industry and the business to kind of help you get started and be successful. But I wanted to share my story on kind of how I got here. And so that's what I'm going to do today. As I said, I was an ER nurse for about 10 years. I've been in healthcare for about 15 years. Nursing was not like my first choice of as far as career paths of what I wanted to do when I graduated high school. I actually wanted to go to pharmacy school, but I got pregnant with my daughter the summer after I graduated high school. So I was going into college, and I found out I was pregnant, and so kept my daughter. So I ended up staying home for the first year, and I was supposed to be doing prerequisites for pharmacy school. Well, I had to work too because now I got a mouth to feed. So I started working in the hospital as a unit secretary, and just working there and seeing the nurses interaction with the patients and the doctors and everybody. I was like, I like this, I feel like they were like making a difference. And so I decided to change my major and I started going for nursing. So fast forward, I finally graduated. I graduated first from an associate program, from a 2-year program. It didn't take 2 years. It took a lot longer because the nursing program was so competitive almost everywhere. There was like a wait list to even get into the actual nursing program. And so you can take whatever classes that you needed up until you got into the actual program. I did that, graduated, and right out of nursing school, I went into a fellowship into a very, very busy ER in St. Louis. I won't name, but if you're from St. Louis, if you can work at this place, you can pretty much work anywhere. So I got into a fellowship where we had like 1 day of class, all day class, and then 3 days of like on the floor training with preceptors. It was like a 6-month program for people that came right out of nursing school. I was the only one that had graduated from an associate program, and I think it was only 2 black students, or 2 black nurses rather. But I love the program. I love the ER. Like, you see something different every day. You learn something different every single day. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it the same way. Like, I love the ER, love it. And so after about 2 years or so, I remember being in nursing school, and I had a cousin, an older cousin, who also was a nurse, but she was a travel nurse. So I knew that I wanted to be a travel nurse. Like, specialty, it was either ICU or ER. I ended up choosing ER, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt I wanted to be a travel nurse. So after 2 years or so, I did go out and I started seeking travel assignments. And I did that because I wanted to experience the world. Like, I wanted to see different places, meet different people, eat different foods, experience like different cultures and, all of that stuff. And so that's like why I wanted to do travel nursing. And so I took my first few assignments. My first one was in a little small town in North Carolina, Wilkesboro, North Carolina. But it was a small community hospital, but they were so super nice, like super nice crew. I loved it. But very, very small town. Like, I feel like I'm from a small town, but that was like super small town. They didn't even have like a mall or anything. When I asked about a mall, they were like, yeah, we got a Walmart up the street. And I'm like, that is not a mall. But super, super, super small town. And then I ended up in Maryland. I had a cousin that actually lived in the area, and they call it the DMV area. So DC, Maryland, Virginia. because they're kind of like all right there, like in a little triangle. And so I had a cousin that lived in Virginia, and I got an assignment in Maryland. And when I came, like, I was like, it was like a culture shock, y'all. It was literally like a culture shock. And y'all can make fun of me, whatever, I don't care. But it was literally like a culture shock. Like, my cousin and his cousins and their friends, like, it was just like this melting pot of people. And I was like, oh my God. Like, you know, the guys were hanging out with the girls. It was Black, Hispanic, it was Asian. Like, everybody was like super chill. And I was just like, wow, like wow. You know, and it was just so different. Like, my coworkers were like so amazing, and they were just from all different parts of the country, from the islands, from Greece. And, you know, I got introduced to like different foods, and I just like fell in love. I never forget, my parents came to visit me, and my dad was just like, stay here. Like, you really will get to experience life. Like, I want you to stay here. And so, as hard as it was, like, I wanted to relocate, but it was just hard because I knew I would miss my family. But long story short, I decided to stay. And I was still going, you know, on my travel assignment or whatever. But I was like, I'm going to stay in the area. So when I went to that facility, and that'll have to be another video, they weren't the nicest. They were not the nicest crew of people. I had just experienced North Carolina, and then to come to Maryland, like, it was like night and day. People were like, they were mean. They were mean. So long story short, I kind of broke the ice, and I ended up liking the place and, you know, having a good experience. And so I extended my contract, and then they were like, Danny, stay. We like you. Stay here. And so I ended up coming on staff there. Very small community hospital again, but it was like a type of environment where you can literally get to know almost everybody in the hospital. And I love that about it. And so I stayed, and it really helped me tremendously in my career. I started doing charge nurse. I learned a lot. I had to unlearn a lot too, my attitude, you know, how to talk to people. I learned a lot about just being in leadership and being in a position to kind of lead other people. I got that experience here. And so what I want to get to, I spent about nearly 4 years at that facility. And I had just bought a house. For my 30th birthday, I had purchased my house. That was my big gift to myself. And, well, to myself and to my daughter. I do have a daughter. And so that was my big gift that year for us. I had purchased a house in March, but my birthday was in May. But I was just like so ecstatic and so happy and so proud of myself. And I was like doing awesome at my job. You know, I'm doing charge nurse, and even thinking about going to get my master's in nursing administration to like kind of go up that leadership track. And one day we had an incident with a patient and their family member. And literally, y'all, I'll never ever forget this incident. I had just received a review, like my annual review, and I had like this raving review, like excellent review. And then literally from hearsay, a few weeks after that, I was fired. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I didn't realize at the time that I was actually depressed until after. Like, I just sat in my room and laid in the bed, got up, eat a little bit, lay in the bed again. And I knew like I needed to get up and start looking for work. But I had just went from working 2 jobs to working the one because I was going to go back to school. And like, thinking I'm going to end my nursing career at this hospital and literally get fired from hearsay. No evidence, no proof of I did anything wrong. It was just hearsay. Oh, you're attached to the situation, so we're going to fire all of y'all. And I was just like, I laid in that bed, and my sister, who had lived with me, she said one day, she was like, why are you just laying in that room like you depressed or something? And it hit me like, I am depressed. I am depressed. So I scheduled an appointment with the therapist, and y'all, it was my first time ever like having any type of mental health therapist or counselor or anything. But I was like, I need to talk to somebody. So I scheduled an appointment with the therapist, and I go in. And when I say y'all, it felt like as soon as I went in that office and they was asking what's wrong, I just started crying. All I can remember is just crying. Just crying. That's all I can remember about that session. I was just crying because I was just devastated. I couldn't believe that the betrayal, it felt like. It was just like, I just couldn't believe it. To a few weeks prior, I'm sitting in my manager's office and getting this great review. And here we are a few weeks later, you're literally firing me for literally no reason. None. And we were all like really close knit. So they knew I was up there. I was taking care of my daughter. My sister was living with us. I had just purchased a house. They knew this. And I was just devastated. Like, how could y'all do this to me? Like, y'all didn't do no real investigation. Y'all just like, deuces, bye. I was devastated. I couldn't believe it. And from that moment forward, I said never. Like, I could never put my financial future and my children, like my daughter and I can't put our financial future in the hands of anybody else. Because then I had to also sit there in the moment, like, I have made so much money and I had a little cushion, but not like, I didn't have like a 6-month savings where I didn't like have to go back to work. Like, I had to go back to work because I just had just a little cushion. And so I was devastated at getting fired. I never been fired from any job. But then I was more disappointed in myself too, because I hadn't really saved like I should have. And so from that day, I vowed that I am going to figure this thing called life out, and I'm never going to depend on anybody else to take care of me and my child. I'm not going to depend on them to take care of me and my child, and I am not going to put my financial future in somebody else's hands. So I just like, that lit a fire up under me to like really to go out on that quest to like figure out how money works and how to put my money to work. And so I started researching real estate investing, and this got to be another video, but I lost a lot of money trying to figure that part out. A lot of money. I lost a lot of money, y'all, trying to figure it out. But I didn't let that stop me. You know, I did not let that stop me from investing in my future and me figuring things out. I lost a lot of money along the way, but I went into it knowing like you have to be willing to invest in your future, in your personal development, in your business development. And so I started putting my money to work, learning different things, learning about the stock market, buying stocks. I even did options for a little bit, learned how to do that. Different ways that I can put my money to work. I started learning about it. Crypto. I am a part of a few investment clubs. I invest passively in real estate. I also invest in businesses. I have loaned money to business owners for like working capital. And, you know, I receive money on whatever terms we deem for me to get repaid. And so I was just like, I am putting my money to work. I am never going to rely on one stream of income. And so a friend of mine actually coined me, because I was doing so much. And doing so much, not necessarily like having like different businesses, just putting my money to work. And so my girlfriend called me, she started calling me the multiple streams queen. And the name just stuck, y'all. It's trademarked. So it's and so she started calling me the multiple streams queen, and it just stuck, and that's my name. And here we are. Here we are a few years later after being fired and devastated and depressed to I got multiple ways that I have money coming to me and multiple ways that I have money working for me. But that is literally like, that's what stemmed it, was that incident. And so it needed to happen. I'm glad it happened because it set me on fire, and it made me do something that I needed to do, but I was just comfortable. So I'm glad that they fired me because I'm here now. It helped me get to this place. And so I just wanted to kind of share y'all with a little bit more about my story and the name and the meaning behind the name. So come back. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Share the video with anybody else that could need some encouragement or just trying to figure it out. Because we're going to be dropping gems. All right, y'all.